you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm all right. No, keep going. What's up, everybody? But today we're gonna make quesadilla tacos. So the meat I'm going to use are choice cut short ribs, but high quality beef nonetheless. Fresh beef, just as far as the marbling goes, it's choice cut. The meats I'm going to use are short rib and oxtail. And the reason I'm using these two meats particularly, even though I believe the authentic recipe calls for lamb, is because these meats have a lot of collagen, a lot of connective tissue, and that over a long period of cooking will impart a huge amount of flavor into the broth or consommé. And that makes a very rich, very multi-dimensional broth. So that's why I chose these particular cuts for this dish. Short rib is packed with flavor. We're gonna use short rib and oxtail for their meat as well, functionality in a broth. The meat is going to be wonderful in the end product. The taco with the mozzarella or the Oaxaca cheese is gonna be divine, I think. I say that, but I've never actually made this dish before. It's first time. I'm kind of teaching this dish, but more so, I just want to do it in a simple yet time-consuming way. And it sounds a little weird, but this dish just can't happen quickly. It's going to take time, but I'm going to use a crock pot to do most of the work for me, but all we're doing in this first part of the video is the prep work to get to the crock pot part. Like I said, I have short rib, I have oxtail, I have ajo or garlic, I have cebolla or onion, I have chile de árbol, I have chile ancho, and I have chile guajillo. I have a medley of peppercorns, so there's pink peppercorns in there, white peppercorns, and black peppercorns, and green peppercorns. I have a peppercorn medley that's pink peppercorns, white peppercorns, green peppercorns, black peppercorns. I have whole cumin seeds. I have a ton of salt. I have a couple bay leaves. I have whole cloves. I have paprika, dried oregano, and 3 cinnamon sticks. Do I know the amounts or if those amounts are correct? I don't, but just use your best judgment in making this dish. I don't think ultimately it's going to matter too much, but I could be wrong, so we'll see. Last but not least, actually I have a couple more things. I have tomato paste, I have beef broth. So I'll tell you why I'm using beef broth instead of just using regular water. And I tell you why I'm using beef broth, even though I'm already going to be making a broth with these meats. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to sear these meats off. I'm going to brown them on all sides, and that creates a nice crust on the meat, which color means flavor. A crust on meat is what you want anytime you cook meat. You don't want boiled meat, you want colored meat. Color, that creates a Maillard reaction. A Maillard reaction is basically why meat tastes the way it does when you're barbecuing it or when you're searing it in a pan. It's the caramelization of proteins, it's flavor, it's umami, it's amazing. So before you make a broth, sear off your meat. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And once I pull these out and put them in the crock pot, I'm going to deglaze the pan. Basically, grab all the bits off the bottom of the pan, which is called fond. You do that by pouring in a liquid, any kind of liquid, whether it's white wine or red wine or water or broth or something, to deglaze the pan. Basically, you put all those liquids into a hot pan to deglaze the pan. That stuff's flavor. You want it in your sauce, in your broth. You don't want it stuck on the pan. So we're gonna take all that off by deglazing, and why not deglaze with beef broth instead of water? So anyway, let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is sear this meat. We're gonna get color on this meat. And that means high heat in your pan. You want to use like a copper core pan, like a thick pan, something that holds heat really well. That would typically be like cast iron pan. I'm basically using a coated cast iron pan. It is cast iron, it's just coated. Either one will work, but I'm gonna crank the heat up as high as I can. I'm going to put some grapeseed oil in the pan because grapeseed oil has a very high smoke point, so the oil won't burn as fast as like olive oil would burn. I mean, it's still gonna burn, but you know, just not as readily. So I'm going to sear all sides. I'm not trying to cook this meat. I'm just trying to get color on the outside, and that's it. That's all I care about right now. So let's do that. There's not really a time limit on this. Basically what you want to do is you want to set the meat down on the pan and just kind of let it go. You don't need to keep dicking with it or flipping it over and over again. Let it sear. And then after, I would say probably 2 minutes, check to see what your color looks like. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to flip this over in 2 minutes and we're going to see what kind of color we have. If it's not satisfactory, we're going to set it right back down and keep coloring on that side. That's the kind of color we're looking for. This is perfect, okay? See, this is the color we're trying to, this is perfect color. I'm done searing these off. We got good color on there. I'm going to turn off the burner and let the pan cool down a little bit, but we got some pretty good color. And now I'm going to put all the meat into the crock pot and then start throwing in everything else that needs to go into this dish, into the crock pot, and I'm just gonna set it and forget it. So I just disposed of the majority of the fat that had rendered out from the meat into this pan. I left a little bit in there. I'm trying to get all this brown and into the sauce. I'm going to do that by deglazing the pan with some beef broth. So again, the reason why I'm deglazing this pan with the broth, and mind you, you can deglaze with water if you want. It doesn't have to be beef broth because you're pretty much going to be making a beef broth anyway. The reason why I'm deglazing the pan in general is because I want to get the brown bits of stuff at the bottom of the pan into this dish. I don't want it to stay on this pan because all that's flavor, and I want to get that up into this broth, into this crock pot. All right, I'm gonna put a couple dollops of tomato paste. I'd say that's like 3 dollops, maybe a little more. 3.5 dollops to 4 dollops of tomato paste. And then I'm going to put a few more seasonings in there. Little paprika, little oregano, a little bit of that clove, put all that clove in there, and the salt. You're not gonna cook this too much. A couple minutes just for everything to incorporate, and then we're gonna turn this off and we're gonna move on to another step. So what we're gonna do is we're going to put a couple chunks of onion into that crock pot. A little bit of the garlic. I had like 8 to 10 cloves of garlic. I'm going to take half of them. It could be 4, it could be 5, whatever. Throw them in there. And the peppercorns, throw them in there. Mind you, there's nothing but meat in this crock pot right now. And now meat, garlic, peppercorns, and raw onions. I'm going to take, I think this is like 4 to 5 bay leaves, throw them in there. And I have cumin seed. I'm gonna go ahead and toss these in there as well. Now we're gonna work on the sauce that's gonna go in there. There's like 3 aspects to this dish. There is the browning of the meat. There is the making of the, essentially what's a pepper sauce. You take these dried peppers, you take the seeds out, you blanch them, which is basically like heating them up in hot water so they get soft. You throw it in a blender with some onion and garlic and blend it and throw it in here. And you also throw in your deglazed pan juices into the sauce. So those are like the 3 steps. The pepper sauce, the meat browning, and the deglazed pan sauce. What I'm gonna do with these peppers is I'm going to take the seeds out. So this is gonna take some time. We're going to speed it up. Those are the seeds. These are the peppers. I'm gonna throw the rest of the garlic in there, and I'm going to chop up a little more onion, probably 1/4 of an onion, and I'm going to hit this with really hot water. So these peppers have rehydrated in this hot water. They're really soft. It just tears off really easily. So that's a good sign. Basically, now I'm going to blend this. I don't know if I want to use all the liquid. So what I'm going to do is take out all the good stuff. See how limp the pepper has become? Look at the color of that broth now. All right, well, I'm probably gonna use half of this liquid. By the way, this is a 16-ounce, this container is, and essentially that's how much water is left over. So I'm going to use half of this. We have our sauce, we have our liquid, we have our meat. So let's just put it all together and let it go for 24 hours. Sauce first. All right, now we put in the liquid. So here's what I have. I rinsed this with water to clean it, but it's just clean water, just mixed with the remnants of the sauce. So I'm just gonna use this water. And that's it. And that's it for this segment of this video. This video is in 2 segments. Put the lid on, put it on low, or whatever the low setting is on your crock pot at home. And that's it. We'll be back in 24 hours. Well, technically like 22 hours, but who's counting? And we're gonna see what this nice concoction looks like at that time. So I'll see you guys in probably 10 seconds, but it'll be 24 hours for me. What's up? So it's the second day for me. It's the exact same day for you. Probably like 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds later. And let's see what this thing looks like. I went ahead and skimmed off as much fat as I could off the top. It's a significant amount, but this is good. You wanna keep the fat that you skim off the top because I'm going to use the fat for the tortillas. I can either dip the tortillas in the fat and then put it on the griddle when I'm making my tacos, or I can put a little bit of the fat in the pan and toast the tortillas that way. So let's see what we got going on in here. Okay, so I removed all the meat from the crock pot, left everything else in there. I strained the broth that was in there, so there was like onion and all the spices. Before I did any of that, I took out as much fat as I possibly could. There was a huge layer of rendered fat on top of the meat and the broth, and I went ahead and just used a big ol' spoon and just dumped it all in here. And this is what I'm going to use for the tortillas. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this stuff aside. I'm going to shred the meat, and then I'm going to get my accoutrements ready for the quesadilla tacos. So let's dig in. I'm just gonna dig in with my hands because that's the best tool that we have. Look how easily this just shreds apart, like no effort whatsoever. I mean, you just like, look at this big old chunk of rib. I mean, it's just effortless. Bro, come on, man. Can't get in just yet. You gotta wait. We treat everyone like that around here. All right, just like that, we have shredded beef. We have a mixture of short rib meat in here and oxtail meat. Super fatty, super tender, super delicious. So I'm going to put this aside. I'm gonna chop up some cilantro as it's going to be the garnish for the tacos. Or if you were just going to have the meat with the broth or the consommé, you would just put this on top with some onion. I don't have any white onion. I wanted white onion, but I asked someone to go get me some white onion. Totally forgot. That's not a big deal. We forgive this individual. We're stuck with this. And you know what? I actually prefer red onion. So, but let's go ahead and get some of this going. I'm gonna roll it like a cigar and then just look at what I did to my knife. I know I mentioned this already, but I'm kind of still heartbroken about it. I was doing some stupid hot dog stunt, and this is now embedded into this cutting board, so I had to hammer it in there so nobody dies. Okay, put this aside. Let's get a little onion going, a little onion. There we go. Let's go ahead and start here. And let's go sideways. Now we have our garnish, and we are finally ready to grate cheese that's going to go into the tacos. I have 2 types of cheese. I have Oaxaca cheese and I have mozzarella cheese. I'm personally going to favor the mozzarella cheese because the one that I got, whereas the Oaxaca is part skim Oaxaca cheese. There we go. We got a little whole milk mozzarella. Let's get some of this shit grated. Look at all that cheese. Pure, grated, whole milk mozzarella cheese for the taking. I gotta say, I'm really excited about this dish. I've never made anything like this before. I've never made this dish before, but I'm very excited about it. I think it's gonna be good. I'm hoping it's gonna be good. You don't wanna spend 2 days making a dish and it sucks. So let's cross our fingers. Now, we are finally ready to assemble this bitch. So let's get ready to assemble and let's do this. Let's do this right. We have what it takes. We're not stupid. Maybe some of us are, but even stupid people can overcome, right? Right. Let me just wipe this up real quick. I'm gonna wipe this up too. All right. Nope. No. Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Wipe this up too. All right, check it out. I'm going to put some of the broth in here for the dipping. Okay. Set that aside. Let's go ahead and hit it with a little cilantro, a little red onion. Okay, so that's ready to go. Now let's assemble. Look at all that, just pure fat, fat of the gods. I took some of that fat and I put it in this pan, and now I gotta move quick. Take some cheese, put some cheese everywhere, turn down the heat a little bit, do a little more cheese, maybe even a little more cheese, and then a little beef, cilantro, and onion. I'm gonna do a little more onion in there. Now, that cheese is starting to melt slowly. You can see it. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fold it in half. Try to keep all the contents in there. I'm just trying to roll it around in the fat. That's what I want. That's what makes this taco so wonderful. Okay, yeah, look at that. Man, that's looking good. All right, I'm pretty sure this is ready. The cheese seems to be melty, so that's a good sign. Look at that. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Crispy, greasy, wonderfully tender, oniony, cilantro-y. Did I say cheesy? Well, cheesy. Lovely cheesy. But this is a nice quesadilla made by me. Damn, that's good. That's the I ever made. Mm-hmm. Man, that's good, man. Oh my God. Mukbang. I'm sorry. Man, bro, that is so good. I don't eat this much. All right, I have to go, but listen, I apologize. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, like, which is giving it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment below. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video by hitting the little bell. No, I'm crazy. I'll see ya. I'm just gonna grab this one real quick. Just digging in here, man. Real quick. Mm-hmm. Right.